another fragrance review. Welcome, I'm glad you guys could join me. If you're visiting for the first time, then you're in for a treat. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my fragrance journey, not too long, tell you how I buy my fragrances and where I buy them from. So when you're just getting started on your fragrance journey, all of it can be a little bit daunting, a little bit overwhelming. I know it was for me. But for me, the fragrance journey that I started in last March was love at first sniff, or love at first sight. For me, this was an awesome way, just to give you a little insight of why I started this fragrance journey. When the pandemic hit, I didn't want it to break me, I didn't want it to put me down, so I wanted to start something new. So one thing led to another, and I saw a few YouTube videos with Jeremy Fragrance, and I was like, man, that looks like fun. And I already had a few fragrances laying around, and I really didn't know all the note breakdown, and I just didn't know a lot of the stuff he was talking about in fragrances, and I was really fascinated. I just looked at it as something very simplistic, and it just smelled good, and that was that. I didn't know there was so much artistry that went into fragrances, and so I was really excited to learn about master perfumers and all that goes, the craftsmanship and the artisanship that goes into it, and so I really got excited and really dove in head first, and it's been a lot of fun and an awesome journey, and it's all about the journey and not the destination, and you guys know that already. But so this has been very overwhelming, just like anything can be when you get started. So when I first got started in fragrances, I was like, how am I going to afford these? I'm probably only going to be able to buy one a month or maybe a couple a month, depending on the finances and what bills I have to pay. And if you're like me, you just, first let me back up and tell you why, one of the other reasons why. So I like fashion, I like style, I know a lot of you guys do out there, and I like a lot of the designer names. I like RMRS. I love Versace, I love Dolce&Gabbana, I love Armani, and a lot of those, the clothing that they sell and the accessories and the shoes and the handbags are way out of my price range. I can't afford $600 for a pair of Gucci sneakers. I can't afford to spend $1,000 on a Louis Vuitton bag. And it's not that I can't afford it, it's just that I have other obligations, other responsibilities, and so I put my money elsewhere to better take care of my family and my lifestyle. But getting into fragrances is an excellent way to have a lot of those top designers in your house without breaking the bank. And so that was part of the thing that attracted me to this journey. Another thing that attracted to me is they tell a story, they invoke memories, there's a lot of craftsmanship, as I mentioned before, a lot of artisanship that goes into this, and I really love the stories they tell, and it just clicks all the boxes for me. So that's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons why I got involved in fragrances. And plus, it automatically adds something to your attractiveness when you smell good. And let's face it, we've all been stuck on a bus, or stuck on a train, or in a place in line where somebody didn't smell good and it just was horrible. But we've also run into people who smelled really amazing, and it automatically boosts their attractiveness by 1,000 points. So I definitely, if you're not a fragrance person and you're just stopping by, I highly recommend you getting into fragrances. Okay, so now you know that. It's very overwhelming, and only thing I knew to do, I knew two things when first buying fragrances. I know you could find fragrances at what we call here in the States, the box stores. So I knew you could find like some of these fragrances in the discounters like Ross, TJ Maxx, and Marshalls, and they would be a little bit less than what you'd pay in some of the, what I call anchor stores in a mall. An anchor store to me is like a JCPenney's, a Dillard's, let's see, Macy's, and I don't know what you have in some where you live as far as anchor stores go. There's also in some of your higher end malls. So you got your Bloomingdale's, your Nordstrom, and those places will carry a little more higher end fragrances. But for the most part, where I was shopping was, like I said, in the mall, JCPenney's, Dillard's, Macy's, or your, box stores, again, like TJ Maxx. So that's where I knew to start. And that's not a bad place to start. And the reason why it isn't is because you can walk into those stores and you have good lighting, hopefully you have good customer service, you have somebody knowledgeable about the product, and you can test the fragrance right then and there. They can put it on a test strip, which I wouldn't advise, but that's usually what they're going to do. I would advise anytime you're buying fragrances to always spray it on your skin, walk around the store, do some shopping, walk around the counters, come back, because there is a beginning, a heart, and a base in the dry down, and you want to know what the fragrance smells like in the base. because the very beginning of the fragrance is always going to capture you, lure you in, and if you don't wait for the dry down, sometimes you may not like the fragrance. So always wait. Always test it on skin and not the test strip if you can, if they'll let you. I know it's different during the pandemic, but that's a good place to start. And because you get good service, again, you know, the person hopefully is knowledgeable, can help you, walk you through whatever fragrance you're looking for. And there are fragrances for all occasions. There's fragrances for clubbing, there's fragrances to wear at the nighttime, there's fragrances for dating, there's fragrances for the summer. And if you're new, you probably didn't realize that. There's some fragrances that are sweet that you only want to wear in the wintertime. And there's fragrances that we call freshies that you want to wear in the summertime. And so on and so forth. And there's so much more to this fragrance journey than you can possibly know. And hopefully that salesperson can guide you through that. That's what you're missing in, say, a TJ Maxx or a Ross. And that's why the prices are lower, because you're helping yourself. There you're getting good customer service, hopefully. And so sometimes I tend to know a little bit more than a salesperson, but not all the time, and it depends what store you go into and what area you go into. But and finally, the best thing about buying that way, and either one, is that you get the fragrance right then and there and don't have to wait for the horrible mail or post. No offense to them, I know they're all working hard, the pandemic is going on, but if you're like me and you guys order a lot of stuff through the mailman, sometimes it can be a project. It can be a journey in and of itself. It can be a way to try your patience and your faith. That's the one cool thing about buying in the store is, one, you get to test it, the good customer service, and you get it right away. Okay, so those are the two ways. And just like same with Ross, you can walk in, you can buy it right away and walk home, and you get a bit of a discount. It's just that when you go to a Ross or a TJ Maxx or a Marshalls, sometimes the boxes are damaged. Sometimes what you can pick from is limited, so those are the only issues you run into buying like that. Okay, so that's how I was buying at first. But then, just like anything else, I want to learn more about my hobby, so I dove into Instagram, and I would read the posts and see some of the recommendations, and then I would watch more YouTubers who were really into fragrances doing their videos. And then there's one guy I watch who's very helpful. I'll give a shout out to him. He's got a big channel. His name is Ash at Gents. He did a whole video on good places to buy fragrances, so I highly suggest you look him up as well. Shout out to him. He's a really awesome guy in the fragrance community. I don't know him, but I admire him a lot. So he gave a whole list of places you could buy, and that's really where I kind of learned. And what I found out is there's something called the gray market. And the gray market is a way in which you can buy designer fragrances for discounted prices. And I'm talking, in some cases, you can buy Versace or Hermes for a lot less than what you'd buy at Ross or TJ Maxx. So that is a very good place to start if you don't know. And the gray market is basically this. It's just these folks are buying. They have places where they can buy, I think mainly overseas, where they tend to sell these fragrances cheaper. They buy them at a really good price, mark it up, so of course they can make a profit, but it's still way less than you would pay in the store. So there are lots of websites that you can buy from. The two international websites that I think people know the most about are Fragrance X and Fragrance Net. And if I'm not saying it properly, you don't understand my English, I'll go ahead and put it up in the screen next to me so you guys can see where to go to find these websites. You just have to be careful with these websites. They can be a little misleading, thinking you're getting a bigger discount than what you are. So just pay attention to the fine print. Be careful. Some of these folks make you buy a certain amount until the shipping is free. So you've got to watch that as well. And the risk involved in that is if you haven't smelled the fragrance before, it's what we call blind buying, and you're not sure if you're going to like it. But I do have a solution to that. So stay with me. But anyway, if you blind buy a fragrance, again, you're not sure what you're going to get. You're just basing it off of other people's opinions, or you've read about it and you think it might be good. So just be careful with that. Also, you have to be careful with the person that packs your order. I've gotten several orders wrong. I've had orders lost. So there are risks to that. But the reward is good if you get your fragrance on time, if you get the right order. The reward is good because your pocket has more money in it. So that is one of the ways I started buying fragrances. When I discovered the gray market, I was overjoyed. Now, as far as the gray market goes, there are also other gray marketers, if that's a word, gray marketers, or independent small businesses that also sell fragrances, that you can get them for even at a more discounted price. Like one of the places I'm talking about is a place called Kingdom Fragrances. And that's a small independent company, a lot smaller than Fragrance Net and Fragrance X. And because it's a little bit smaller, his prices are really, really good. He tends to beat out those other two I just named. But the thing about small independent companies is you constantly got to check their website. You've constantly got to go there to make sure they have the product, because their prices are so insane that by the time you get there, they're out of the product you're looking for. So that is a pitfall. But at the same time, and there are more other small independent fragrance companies, if you do the homework, you'll discover and be able to save even more money. Another good place to go is when you're diving into any hobby, whether it's collecting Pez, Matchbox cars, dolls, precious moments, whatever it is. Of course, you're going to go on YouTube, you're going to search it on the internet, but you can also go into Facebook groups. There are Facebook groups for everything, and one of the things I discovered is that a lot of people trade their fragrances in some of these Facebook groups, and that's another great way to get your fragrance. Another way online to get fragrances is through eBay, through private sellers. eBay, people on eBay will sell to you. They'll sell to you sometimes to a discounted price. Sometimes they'll buy a fragrance that's been discontinued, and they'll charge you through the roof for it. There's certain designer fragrances that you can no longer get that you originally bought for 80 bucks, and now they charge you 350 bucks. But if you really want it and it's worth it to you, that option is available. You can also buy fragrances on Amazon as well. So those are some good places to start. The cool thing about Amazon is you tend to get it a little quicker than anybody else, especially if you have Prime, and it'll come to your house a lot quicker. You're not going to pay a discounted price on Amazon for the most part. But if you do buy it Prime, you'll get it in a couple days, and Amazon has always been pretty reliable with me. I can't speak for anybody else. I love using people that use UPS, because UPS seems to get to my house the fastest, UPS or FedEx as well, but you just have to look and see what shipper the people carry. And a lot of times when you get down to the option, when you're going to close out your sale, they do have different options, and the more money you are willing to pay, the more secure your shipment will be getting to you. So, all right, so, okay, Scott, that sounds good. The gray market sounds awesome, but I don't really want to do that blind buy thing. And I hear you there, and I made a lot of mistakes doing that. You can ask my wife and my family. So when you go to buy a car, you don't just jump in the car and say, I'm taking it, and go home. You take it out, test spin, you kick the tires, you have your mechanic look at it. So what I'm saying is you look at it before you make a big decision and spend a lot of your hard-earned money. And a lot of times in fragrances, they're high. They're from 100, believe it or not, all the way close to $1,000 for fragrances. And that's a lot of money, I know. And you don't want to spend your money on something you hate and you're stuck with it. And then when you go to unload it, you get ripped off because no one wants to pay you for what it's worth. So what do you want to do? You want to kick around the tires on these fragrances. So how do you do that? You buy testers. A lot of the companies you can buy directly from, say you could go to RMRS, look them up, see if they have samples that you can buy, and you can buy directly from them. And again, it takes a while to get them. That's a good way to buy samples. But there are what we call decant companies. Decanting is a legal process. It's where they take designer fragrances, they take the juice out of the fragrance, and they put it in a little bottle like this. This one happens to be called Bleecker Street, and I believe this by Bond number 9, and I believe this fragrance usually runs about 300 bucks. It's an absolutely gorgeous scent, but I didn't know if I'd like it or not. I love the bottle design. Sometimes that hooks me in more than it should. So this is a gorgeous fragrance, and I wanted to test it. So I found this company called senseevent.com, and they work for me. I believe they're one of those companies that doesn't have any shipping whatsoever, so that's why I use them. And you can go in there and you can find the most expensive fragrance, or you can find a designer fragrance for 100, and they have different prices depending on what you get. You can get 5 ml, you can get 10 ml, and they offer all kinds of different mLs that you can buy from, and they'll show you on the site, and they're authentic, and they ship to you very quickly. You just gotta, it's just like anything else. Sometimes they'll get lost, sometimes you gotta wait again with the shipping. But this is an excellent way to test out a fragrance. And you can take it for a test spin to make sure you like it, and then if you love it, then you can go ahead and buy it. And to me, that's the best way, is to test. So decanting is fun, and it's safe, it's legal, and it's one of the best ways I suggest that you buy fragrances. And here's another offering. I got this one from scentsplit.com, and they market their bottles just a little bit different. And this is Pacific Rock Moss, and as you can see, their bottles are just a little bit different. But this is, again, another great way to buy fragrances, to make sure you like them before you buy them for $200, $300. And so I've learned that it took me a long time to learn that, but if you're just now stopping by and watching this video, you'll be able to know right away and know where to buy some of these fragrances. Again, the two decant places I use are ScentSplit and Scents Event. Scents Event has no shipping, so they're awesome. And like I was saying, you can go to any of your favorite fragrance houses and they'll sell discovery kits, they'll sell samples. Like I went to the House of Sillage because I really wanted to try a lot of their fragrances. And here's an example of a discovery kit from the House of Sillage. And usually, you know, you'll pay something like $29, $20, $30 for one of these discovery kits. And that's another great way for you to test a sample. And then you can get to know the fragrance, learn a little bit about it before you buy the big bottle. So again, you can either buy straight from the manufacturer, or you can buy these decants from some of these decant companies. Another way to buy fragrances, and I'll try to wrap this video up because I could go on for days about this, but another way to buy these fragrances is you can get what's called subscription. There's a lot of subscription fragrance houses now. One of them's Scentbird, another one of them's Royalty Scent, and they come in these little decanters like this, and you twist them up, and you can spray the fragrance. And they come to you, it's a subscription plan. I think you end up spending a lot of times $20 to $25 a month, and you get one fragrance delivered to your house a month, and you can try it out and see if you like it or not. But do I recommend that? No, I foolishly got involved in that because I was so head over heels in the fragrances. I didn't stop to do the homework. I personally don't recommend it. If you're in the fragrance community, you're doing it, I'm not bashing you at all. Go for it, have fun, enjoy. I don't recommend it because if you're gonna pay the $20 every month, sometimes the price is good. What I'm trying to say is you spent $20 a month for your subscription for 7 ml of cool water when you could have bought the whole bottle, a 3.4 ounce bottle, for $20. So the money's not worth it unless you're buying the high-end fragrances. Then it's kind of worth it, but even then it's not. So those people mess up my orders a lot of times. I've used Scentbird, I've used Royalty Scents, and I've had a lot of issues with them, and it's just not worth the money. But don't take my word for it. Never take my word for it. I'm just giving you some ideas and examples. If it's worked good for you, keep doing it. But I'm just saying your money's better spent going to a decanter, and you can just buy as many of these 10 mLs or 7 mLs as you want to, whenever you want to, and they happen to be a little bit cheaper than that as well. Guys, anyways, I know I've droned on and I've taken a lot of your time. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's added some value. A lot of this stuff I didn't know, and there's way more information out there. Like I said, if you go in the Facebook groups, if you get on Instagram, you can find me on Instagram at Scott Aromatico. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, which you already have, at Scott Aromatico. And just go around on YouTube, go on Facebook, go on Instagram, and learn about this. You can even just Google to your heart's content, which is what I did. And these will teach you different ways to buy fragrances. They'll teach you about note breakdowns, the pyramids of notes, all the ingredients that go into making fragrances. You'd just be blown away. So go ahead and look this up, dive in, really figure this out, guys. There's lots of information out there. There are YouTubers out there who really got their facts straight that you can learn a lot from. And I hope I've added some value to you. Thanks for joining me. Guys, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button if you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Please hit the bell notification. Share this with your friends. If you have anything that I left out, any tips that I could have given to my viewers, please put them down in the comments so my viewers can read them, and also so I can learn too. I love learning from you guys. That's what this journey is about, is learning, and I'm learning from all of you guys. Thank you so much again. And as always, I really appreciate it, guys. Remember to be yourself, as long as yourself smells good.